Well, let's jump into a first move. Sorry about that blur there, but it's hard for me to fix things ever. Let's jump into a first move with Vincent Lee. Now, what we're seeing here is one gate here that has to be dealt with. What does Vincent have? Vincent's pretty good mixed. He wants to go gather clues. Is that the only thing he wants to do? Well, maybe. His Yield Magic Shop, he could pay $5 to draw 2 spells and keep one and discard the other. He's got a movement here of 3 with the motorcycle. He could also go, so that would be 2. He could also go to one of these. Science Building, dissect a monster. He doesn't want to do that. Administration, $8 to draw 2 skills and gain 1. You know, maybe it's time to do that. That sounds interesting. 1, 2, 3 down here. The church. He could spend trophies. No, he can't do that. And Saint Mary, but that allows you to become blessed. Blessed is cool because instead of hitting on 5s and 6s, you hit on 4, 5s, and 6s. And I don't just mean in fights. I mean with all your skill checks. It is possible to lose it, though, by becoming cursed. Ma's boarding house. You can go get a buddy. You have to turn stuff in, though, to take an ally. And he doesn't have stuff yet. But he does have $8. A skill sounds interesting. So he's going to move there. But it's not his encounter phase yet. So now we got to kind of remember that that's what he's going to do. That's going to be tough. Now I'm going to take a pause and try to think through the other players. Well, let's do them all in detail for this first turn. After that, though, I'm not going to be spending this kind of time. So what about our buddy here? Now he has things he would like to give to the professor. How do you give items? Well, this is something I gotta look up. Trading equipment. Luckily, that's on the last page, exactly where you'd think it would be, but I'm starting to learn that this rule book, you know, how to find things. Just look where you wouldn't expect something. If you're in the same area, you can trade them. This must be done before, during, or after movement, but not during combat. Great. So it's not going to cost me anything. Can I get to him? Well, I only have a speed of 3. I'm not going to be able to reach him this turn. He could maybe come to me, but I want to have an encounter because I like encounters. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, head down here, pick up this clue. Now this is weird. The one guy who's the furthest away is the guy who wants to get together with him. And he's going to have an encounter here, and he'll be drawing a green card for that. Let's go to the third. That's Harvey Walters. Well, Walters has his big movement. He's got the zombie to deal with. Is he the best person to deal with a zombie? Maybe, maybe not. He could spend 2 of his 3 movement to do this and draw an encounter. A zombie's easy to sneak by. They only have a +1, but he doesn't have a lot of sneak here. Is he the best person to do this? Yeah, I don't know. He's got 3 movement. If he goes 1, now I could have reset those, and that's something that's going to be tough because I'm probably going to want to reset things on a player's move, and it's supposed to be done all together beforehand. The problem is I don't want to do that thinking beforehand with so many characters. It was fine with one character to have one thing in mind, but it doesn't make a lot of sense for me to play that way when I'm soloing it. So I will probably do what some people might consider cheating, which is make these decisions at the moment. Does it make much difference? Not really, because the monsters come up in the mythos phase, and the upkeep comes right after that. So I should be able to make those thoughts at that time. I could see some times when it wouldn't. Anyway, he wants to go 1, 2, 3 and go to the same place as this guy, as our photographer, because he wants to make some deals. Now, what kind of deals can he make? Well, he's got this flute, which wouldn't be terribly valuable to Daryl, but Daryl has something, a couple of somethings, a couple of unique items that he does want to hand off. Now, is it fair that Daryl give these up for nothing? Nah. So Harvey's going to give him $5 because Daryl could definitely use some money. He's kind of low on cash, and that seems like a fair exchange there. A couple of cards that Daryl didn't need going to Harvey. Now, Harvey has a couple of books to read. He didn't have enough movement points to read this one. His speed was only 3, and it doesn't get any higher. But he will, as the game goes on, be spending movement there. But somebody's got to do something about this thing. And we know who that somebody is. It's good old Kate. Kate's not a bad choice for it. But does she want to change her values? She would rather not meet the zombie. But she can't reach there if she drops this. The zombie is probably undead. It is. So she's better in combat against it if need be. She'll up her lore to 5 and move 1, 2, 3 to the zombie. Now, since she ended her turn there, she has to deal with the zombie immediately. She has to try to evade it. I need to get some dice. Evading is going to be a sneak roll. That's 3. And she doesn't have anything else except the Shroud of Shadow she can use for it. So she's got 3 dice against this. Now she needs 5s or 6s. And she didn't get any. That's bad. Her will's not very good. But she's going to try that. She's going to try her horror check against it. She's got a will of 2. That gives her 3 dice as well. So far she hasn't lost anything. And she succeeds her horror check, but she still has to deal with the damn thing. Now, fighting it, how good is that? Her fight check is 2, 3, 4, 5 with the magic weapon. And she's got this bonus, so she'll just fight it. So that's 5 dice she's got. And she gets more than 1 hit. She only needed 1. She has killed it, and it's her trophy now. She has it and can take it and dissect it or whatever. Since she's ending her turn here, she picks up the clue. She's got a problem, though. During the encounter phase, she's going to get sucked into wherever that is. Speaking of which, we're on the encounter phase at this point. And, you know, with the simple, small number of phases, it's actually pretty easy to remember what's going on. The first time I played it, though, I was, you know, even though there was only 4 things, you had to look at them to make sure the order, and most importantly, the mythos. That phase I wanted to be sure I got right, because that was kind of tricky. Anyway, we start again with the first player looking at their encounters here. Well, Vincent's our first player, and he's down here. Now, he wants to pay $8 to get his 2 skills. What the hell? Let's exercise some of these cool abilities here. So he draws 2 skills and gets to choose whichever one he wants. And they're sneak and fight bonuses. I like sneaking better than fighting. He's not going to be a great fighter, I don't think. So, this one actually gets discarded. But now he has +1 sneak and this ability to re-roll cheaper. That's cool. Neat things they teach you in the university. Well, actually I learned sneaking by doing B&E in the tunnels, but we won't talk about that much. I think the statute of limitations is passed. Alright, let's see. Now we go to Daryl. He's sitting here. Now I've got to shuffle that green deck. And that's kind of a pain for me. I'm going to have to put down the camera to do that, so I'll be back in a bit. Okay, let's try that. And that means this one actually isn't going to be in high definition. The last one accidentally slipped through just because it was easier. So I've got two special, the unnamables, and that's where he is. So he's got to take them. One is pass a luck check -1 to find a hidden cache. Draw a unique item. And the other one is a group of cultists scampers through. Well, that doesn't sound good. All right, so we're going to try the luck -1 check. Cache? Okay, sure. People tell me that all the time. So he's got 4 luck. -1 means he gets 3 dice. He doesn't really have anything to help him here. Ooh, I forgot to check that. He got $2 extra. So he actually is going to be pulling the money in. And let me roll to see. Okay, and he kept his retainer. I forgot to do that during upkeep along with everything else that I don't do in upkeep. Okay, so now he's going to roll 3 dice and see if he can make his luck check. He did. He got a 5. And so, what does he get? He gets a unique item. And these just go on top because I got to reshuffle the whole deck anyway each time. Horrible mechanic. But an alien statue. Ew. Exhaust and spend 2 movement points and 1 sanity to roll a die. If the die roll is a success, draw a spell or gain 3 clue. If it's a failure, lose 2 stamina. That doesn't sound like much fun. I'm not going to play with that if I can help it. Now we go to Harvey. He's in the same position. Uh-oh, I got to shuffle the deck again. Because you want to get encounters. Overall, I think good things can happen to you in them. I'm not sure. Harvey's not very lucky, so he might want to avoid him, but he can't. He has no other options here. So one of my little tricks, because I don't trust shuffling a little short deck of cards like that, is after shuffling it, I roll a die and go that far down. So I'm going to go 6 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I just, you know, I'm going to have to roll a die anyway. He's in the unnamable. You pass through a strange house and find yourself face to face with a foreign man with a penetrating gaze. If you have any exhibit items or your will is 2 or lower, he seems to approve of your simpering manner and introduces himself. Well, I do not have... My will is 2 or lower. I do not have any exhibit items, I don't think. I'm not sure what the Kabbalah of Sabbath is. But I don't see a little symbol on it that looks like... I don't know what that symbol is. Is that symbol? I don't know. No, that's dollars. Alright, so I don't think there's a symbol on this. But my will's slow enough. So, take his ally card. This is Dr. Ali Kafur. Take his ally card, or if it is not available, listen to him expound upon ancient Egyptian pantheon as it compares to that of Native American myths. So that, if he didn't exist, would give me 2 clue tokens, but I gotta find Dr. Ali Kafur, and he's gonna be in the Allies deck, and I'll just pull him out and add him to my Harvey. Okay, let's look at Ali Kafur. He gives me +2 to horror, +2 to spell. Now, those are not these general abilities, but specific skills. So horror checks I have +2, and casting spells I have +2, but not all lore and not all will checks. He also gives me the first tome I found in the unique deck, which in this case was the Necronomicon. I don't particularly like it. You spend 2 movement points, make a lore check at -2. If you pass, you draw a spell and 2 sanity. That's a high cost. He likes his other ones. One that gives him, a skill? And one that gives him a bunch of clues. Those are cheaper and seem more obviously useful. But if the doctor has to, he'll hit the Necronomicon up. Alright. So that's everybody's Arkham encounters except for Kate. Kate's got a problem. She's getting sucked into Relay. Hey, go visit little Cthulhu. Alright, now she's there, and now we hit the Otherworld encounters. And that's kind of cool, because in the Otherworld encounters, she still gets an encounter here. Relay's red and yellow. That's not red or yellow. This is, however. And these just go on the bottom of the deck. It probably could be in a discard pile for all it matters. Now, this is always going to be in the one that happens. Oh no, Plateau of Leng is all of this. So, there's... The other one is just a monster appears. So she gets to deal with a random monster, which is a pretty mellow effect. Now, this monster won't be stuck there like the ones in Arkham. It just is a monster, right? And it is a Dark Young. Yay. Okay. So she has to hide from the Dark Young. That's the first option. Now, she could just pass and say she wants to fight it and take its horror check. But why do that? Well, maybe she could kick its butt. It's not an undead. It's got physical resistance, which means you can't hit it with physical weapons. She doesn't have any. The cross doesn't count. And it's a nightmarish one. I don't know what that means. Okay, I think she doesn't particularly want to deal with it. I don't think fighting is a good idea in general. It's got a big horror cost if she fails her will check. Of course, she's got a bonus towards that. But let's try evading this without being too worried about it. And in that case, she uses her sneak of 3, but it's -2. She only has a 1. Not too likely. She does not succeed. She's not going to re-roll that because her horror check is pretty good. And it's not... Ooh. It is kind of a scary monster, and it's hard to get away from. Alright. I'm thinking this might even be worth doing. Okay. So she's going to take her horror check. She has +1 to her will, which means she gets 3 dice. This guy doesn't have any penalties. I'm putting him here so he's not in her trophy pile. So she gets 3 dice on a horror check here. She does not want to fail this. And she does not. Now combat. Now for combat, she's going to cast Wither. She has 5 dice lore. Just to see if she gets this spell off. It's going to cost her a hand to cast it, but that's okay. She succeeds in casting it. It has no sanity cost, so it gives her +3 magic combat checks until the end of this battle. Her fight is only 2, so that gives her 5 dice, but it goes down to 4 because of his... Now she needs 3 hits for this to work. Oh, that's just a lot. What about sneaking instead? Sneaking, she'd only have 1 die, but she gets to do rerolls. Oh wait, 5 dice. She can reroll 5 dice, but it's not going to get her 3 hits. That's the problem. This thing's so damn hard to hit. All right, we're gonna try to kill it. I got 2 hits. I'll spend for an extra shot. That doesn't work. I'll spend for an extra shot. That works. Okay, so for 2 clues, I've managed to kill this pretty big monster and throw it in my trophy pile. I'm not thrilled with having to have done this, but it didn't look like there were a lot of good options. Another one would have been spend my sanity to try to sneak away with the Shroud of Shadow, but I didn't really want to do that at that point. All right, well, we're actually at the end of the turn except for the Mythos phase. At this point, we draw a Mythos card and see what happens. Let's open up with the Unnameable. Terrible. There's 2 people in there. She's the only one with the bonus towards this, so they get sucked in to the Dreamlands. And worse than that, they're losing their next turn. Which really just means they can't move to here. They've got to encounter that first space. We also have to pull a monster for the Dreamlands. and give good old Azathoth an extra eye. And this is obviously a risk that I hadn't even thought of, to being in the same space with someone. Okay, well, we've got a Miko. That's cute. Alright. Migo is the only monster we have. It doesn't matter what shape it has because it's got that blue surrounding. So what it's going to do is if it could reach somebody, which is only in the Merchant District, it would. But otherwise, it's going to fly up in the sky. And now the streets are dangerous. That Migo could land down and attack you anywhere. Alright. There's going to be a clue in the woods. Gotta find the woods. You'd think they'd be down here? Yeah. Near the outskirts, right? Alright, and now we have an environmental card. The investigators who end their movement in the north side streets gain a clue token for the sinister wonders they witness, but they must pass a will -1 or lose a sanity. Now this is an environment card. It's got to kind of go somewhere where I can notice it. I'll put it here because I don't have a good way of showing it. And we said the north side streets, that means there's going to be a number here. And there's no way to distinguish the different numbers, but as long as there's something out there, you kind of know one of those cards that's out there has to be dealt with. Alright, I gave him an eye. We did the movement, we did everything, I think. That's the end of the turn. This sucker passes. And now we're on that upkeep phase again. And I'll try to play it. I don't know. I think it's easier if I don't play it in order, and I'm just not going to, because I really don't think that I can handle that. And I think I can handle remembering to do the upkeep just before I do my movement. Alright, well, I guess this is going up.